I'm Monica Rubin. I'm the owner of the School of Rock Huntington, Rockville Center, and newly opened Syosset.
My name's Dylan. I'm the music director of the three schools.
He's also the regional manager of the whole thing. My son was involved with School of Rock for several years, and I saw what a difference it made in his life. School of Rock, most kids, when they're young, people expect them to play sports. You don't typically expect them to be musicians. And music was stuck in his head probably from in utero. I want to say my ribs were his first guitar. So finding other like-minded kids was very difficult. And when we saw the School of Rock, because the movie had come out, that it was an actual place, it was mind-blowing. And it changed his life so much that I wanted to be involved in it. And that's when we opened our first school. And then about a year later, Dylan signed on. And he's been wheeled in since. Oh, Huntington's so cool. It's such an artsy area, and kids are naturally, I don't know, maybe it's in the water, maybe it's in the soil here, but the kids naturally gravitate to music here a little bit more. They've been introduced to it. Schools have very good music programs here, and it just felt like a natural fit for us to come here. To teach kids to rock on stage and in life.
The front of it is music lessons, but what we find is it's a lot more confidence building than just learning how to play a guitar or drums. You have kids that will fight you to go on stage for the first show, where you may have to physically put them behind the drum set, but then they kill it and they're excited for the next show in the next 6 months. Mm-hmm. So it's really confidence building more than it is anything else.
Because most of these kids are gonna stick with music as a hobby. Mm-hmm. Maybe 2% of our students will go off and become the next Eddie Van Halen. But this is the instrument will stay with them forever. But the experience and the confidence to be on stage, that's something you use every single day. We're using it right now.
Yeah. So we teach lessons on guitar, bass, keys, drums, and vocals. But the way that we do it is it's a song-first approach. So instead of Mary Had a Little Lamb or let's do every page out of this book in order, it's let's learn Smoke on the Water because you're going to learn this, 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 and this out of it. That's just the lessons. Additionally, there's a weekly group rehearsal. Depending on the age and skill level, it changes how long the rehearsal is. They're casted on songs based on what the show director sees that they either need introduction to or some reinforcement on. And at the end of the season, we put on live shows. With COVID and everything, we've resorted to live streams. We've done drive-in type shows, but typically it's Long Island or New York City venues, larger names, some more local venues, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And they put on shows at least 3 times a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we also have a touring team. There are house bands, and they have to audition. It's a scholarship program, but they have to audition to get into it. And they have a 1-year term. And they play about 50-something gigs a year, and they also go on tour. We're one of the only schools out here that takes the kids on a 7-day tour. Last year we were in Cleveland, and then we took the bus all the way down. This year we were supposed to fly to Chicago, but COVID, you stink.
But so they play.
It ruined our tour.
They play community events, fundraisers, street markets. We've done block parties. Anything like that.
The Oyster Festival, they gave us a stage. We play for 8 hours.
We do the fall festival every year.
We do the fall festival here. What we love is we get to hear great rock and roll all day. We get a front row seat to all of these kids' lives. COVID it smacked me in the face because I see these kids every single day. Dylan sees them every single day. we watch them grow up. We see them laugh, cry, have their first date, because they meet up and they get their first date, and we see them struggle with things and then succeed. And then it wasn't until we didn't see them for a few months because of the shutdown that I saw one of the kids in person. I went, "You're shaving? Oh my God, when did that happen?" And his mom looked and went, "Huh."
Yeah.
And for me it was like I just started crying, because for me I was like, when did you grow up? It's the mom in me. So it's the front row seat to the kids that really, because then you watch them, they go off to college, and our first group is now graduating from college and coming back, and, we have one student that's now working for us. I mean,
Wow.
I know. Good thing they get older and we don't.
Right.
So, he's going to kill me for saying this, but my inspiration is my son. Because, he was that little kid who didn't fit in with everybody in school because he had the big curly hair. I don't know where he got it from. He had the big curly hair. He played a guitar, didn't really want to play sports because if he broke a hand or a finger, he couldn't play his guitar. And it was rough for him. And it wasn't until he started going to School of Rock that he saw other kids that were like him. And he felt that sense of fitting in. And every day since that moment, he creates music, he writes music. This is the most difficult thing because now they can't go perform music. And I don't know, he just keeps going, and he's my inspiration. He's going to be like, "You see that because you're my mom." But it's not. It's that passion that it made me want to open up the schools, and it makes me every day want to take that and make sure that other kids have that opportunity.
Also kind of cheesy, my mom always kind of worked hard for everything that she had, that we had, and that kind of pushes me to do the same. You never know what you're walking into.
That's the best or the worst.
It could be
Either.
the same group of kids every week, and it's a different story at the end of the rehearsal.
That's so true.
Because you always kind of hear about what happened with them, and then you kind of get not involved with it, but you kind of like start talking about it, and then you're like, "Huh, this is a weird kind of spot. Got it." Or they say something just really off, and you just kind of scratch your head for a minute, and then you leave kind of thinking the same thing. So you never know what you're walking out with at the end of the day.
It's true. I've had conversations with 5-6-year-olds that you just look at them and you forget how old they are, and I guess in this business, we never look at kids as kids. We always refer to them as artists, and we treat them that way. We don't treat them as, like a 7-year-old and a 15-year-old get treated the same exact way. So, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. But we treat them the same way. And then when you have these conversations with them, you realize that they may be little people, but there's so much going on inside of them. And some of them are hilarious. They have these sense of humors, and some are just so smart. So like Dylan said, you don't know what you're going to get. You could get a conversation, you walk away going, why was I privy to that? And then you'll have another conversation and go, "Oh my God, I can't believe I was privy to that."
Yeah.
You just don't know.
So like Monica said before, we're very community oriented, and the Chamber's a great way to not only become more involved, but meet more people through the community. You can get so kind of caught up in your little bubble where it's hard to kind of branch out and meet other businesses that may be compatible with yours or get kind of an ear of what's going on in the community. The Chamber is a great resource for that, which is why we're members.
Oh my God.
Music lessons over Zoom is a very different animal. Private music lessons are easier. The group was a challenge, but our kids rose to it. They were awesome about it. We pivoted to doing recordings at home of them playing their parts so we can put them together and still listen to how everyone's progressing. part of our plan was to use those as part of a show if we had to, but we were able to come up with a drive-in socially distant show at a park, so we didn't have to do that. But, you know, we reverted real quick to Zoom. We have a method app, which is super helpful during this, so kids have access to exercises from a series of method books that we have, as well as transcriptions from thousands of songs for guitar, bass, keys, drums, vocals. So they're able to still access their parts through this app. They can record their parts through this app, and through that, the show director or the instructor can put it together to make sure they're still practicing, make sure they're progressing, and to make sure nobody's just kind of hanging out at home, playing video games. We're still putting work in here.
Yeah, so we were very fortunate that we were able to transition, overnight, seamlessly into remote, Zoom lessons. I think we were one of the first to start doing it. The way it impacts your business is that so many people lost their jobs. So, we did the best we could, but we're also a small business trying to stay afloat, and there's only so many times you could try to give somebody a free lessons. So unfortunately, we were hit with a lot of families that lost their jobs. We also have met virtually families that haven't left their homes since March because grandma and grandpa, somebody lives with them that they don't want to endanger, and kids have to stay home because if they don't want to be the cause of spreading something. So, and then there's the other side of, we had to redo the school. Everyone has to wear masks. All the kids come in with face shields. And some aren't comfortable with wearing masks and they choose to stay home. So every day there's an obstacle. But I have to say I feel very fortunate that we've been able to overcome as much as possible. And most importantly, I have an amazing team. I couldn't have done this without them, and like Dylan and I work ridiculous hours together, and it's one thing, but to expect other teachers and managers to volunteer and say, hey, how can I help? What can we do to make this better? It's incredible, and Dylan said we had a drive-in show, and some people hadn't left their house and they were afraid, and the teachers learned the part of the one or two kids that weren't able to go, and they played their part, the part for the kids so that the rest of the band didn't suffer. And to me, it was, it was on their own time. They didn't have to do it, but they wanted to so that the kids can have some normalcy in their lives. It's moving. They didn't have to do that. Sorry. They didn't have to do that. So I feel very fortunate. I have an amazing team. We pick different days. So I came in today because you guys were here. But normally Dylan would be here on Monday, and let's say I would be here on Tuesday, and then I'd be in Syosset the next day. And there's 3 of us that are managers, and we each take a day, and we rotate. Reason being is I want to make sure we know all of the kids and the families, and we always know everything that's going on.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we do practice safe schools, so we have cameras. In every single room of the school, we have cameras. We have background checks. If it didn't come across, this is not just an ordinary music school.
Yeah.
The one thing people don't know about School of Rock is, and we hear this all the time, Dylan's our resident Jack Black. The truth of
You have
the
the look too.
He has the look, yeah.
I've gotten that more often than not.
Yeah. School of Rock was actually around before the movie. The movie was based on the school. So the school was first. And the concept, it's amazing. And we were one of the first to do it. To be able to put kids together and have them perform better than anyone can imagine, because they always think, oh, kids, it's going to be cute, and then they knock your socks off.
Yeah.
So the one thing I would say is, if it doesn't come across that this is not just an ordinary music school, that this is a lifestyle, this becomes a part of a child's history. When they grow up, I went to dance classes when I was a kid. I remember one of my teachers' names, but I don't even think she knew how old I was. Here, we're a part of their lives and they're a part of our lives, and the families are a part of the life too. Like, we literally are a family. And if that doesn't come across, and if that's not what you're looking for, then we're not the right place. But if you want your child to feel like they're part of this community and have a home away from home and still be safe, I think that's what that's us. Like, I don't know.
No, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, like, you want them to be here with us.